welcome to episode 268 of Late Night Linux, recorded on the 12th of February 2024. I'm Joe, and with me are Phelan.
Howdy.
Graham.
Good evening.
And Will.
Hello.
Before we get started, we're looking for a co-host for one of the Late Night Linux family shows. Last time I put a shout out for people who work in the cloud, specifically AWS, GCP, and Azure. And thank you to everyone who've sent in your recordings for that. But do keep sending them in. You can email joeressington@gmail.com. And as I said last time, just record a bit about your experience, just a couple of minutes. That should be fine. Let's do some news then. Unattended updates for everyone. F-Droid 1.19 is here. This is absolutely excellent news. It means that soon, once you get 1.19 installed, your F-Droid apps will automatically update in the background.
Is what I would be saying if it didn't limit me for being on Android one version just below it. God damn it. Lineage 18.1 is what I have. It's Lineage 19 that it kicks in. Fuck's sake.
Android 12.
Yeah, Android 12, that's right.
Sorry, Phelan. I mean, we've been waiting for this for seems like forever. I know it's a difficult challenge, but it is huge news. If I look at F-Droid now, the number of notifications I have for the updates I need to authenticate, it's just, going to make our lives so much easier.
Now, you used to be able to do it with root, didn't you?
Well, I don't root my phone, so...
Well, it all comes down to your old kernel, doesn't it? That you're stuck on that old version of Android.
Yeah, and look, to be honest, I get 3 updates every day, and they're generally the nightly KDE apps that I use. I really don't mind doing it. It's fine, whatever.
K-Itinerary's worth it.
Yes, it is. Shut up. But no, honestly, look, this is a really good thing. And yeah, I have to get a new phone eventually anyway, so I will eventually see this.
Yeah, we should say thank you because, I mean, it's an open source project. It's really, this is a great step towards providing an alternative to Google Play for normal people.
And it doesn't have to be an alternative. It can be alongside.
Yes.
That's how I've always used it. And I will generally go into F-Droid and look for the thing that I'm looking for first. And if it's not there, then I'll go in the Play Store.
Yeah, me too.
I just wish we could get rid of that stupid warning that it has. Like, I wish you could approve the F-Droid store as being an actual store. Like, even if you have to do it once, but then it stops it warning you about things. I find that a bit irritating.
Well, either way, excellent news for Android users. The usage of embedded Linux in spacecraft. This is a piece on Hackaday, which itself references a piece by George Emad on embeddedrelated.com. But I think the Hackaday piece makes it a little bit easier to read, so we'll link to that. But this is something you put in, Will.
The article from George has a little bit more details and talks about stuff that I hadn't really considered when putting spacecraft in space. The one that really struck me was the fact that space is a vacuum. And so how do you cool all of your computer components that are in there? Space is cold, sure, but if all your gubbins are on the inside of a box, how do you get that heat from the inside to the outside? On a normal computer, you just put a big, heat sink in there and blow air over it. That doesn't work, and I hadn't thought of that before. There's some other details in there which are a bit more obvious, like radiation potentially flipping bits and how you deal with that. But the real meat of it for me was to read how off the shelf the SpaceX machines are. Standard x86 processors, relatively standard x86 processors. They use quorum read, so they have 3 sets of equipment, and as long as 2 of those things agree, then it's happy that that's the right way to go about it. And it's interesting to read about the fact that it's pretty straightforward equipment on the SpaceX stuff. The Ingenuity helicopter is a little bit less so, but it is still a Snapdragon processor. It's an ARM processor running Linux. It's amazing how just off the shelf this stuff is.
Yeah, we knew about Ingenuity, but I didn't realize that there was quite so much Linux in space. It's pretty cool.
And it's good to see that there are bits of kit out there that are using a kernel that's actually even older than my phone's kernel, so that's quite cool.
Yeah, I suppose you don't really have to worry so much about security stuff once you're out into space.
Yeah, there they are, chipping blades and not flying anymore. Maybe they should have upgraded.
Yeah, maybe. Well, in further good news, it seems that Spotify has abandoned its quest to YouTubeify podcasts. So we all remember when Rogan got his 300 million or whatever it was to go exclusively on Spotify. And they started a load of other shows or bought shows and tried to make Spotify the platform for podcasts. And they bought various advertising platforms and stuff. But now those deals are coming to an end, and the likes of Rogan have renegotiated their contracts. And the video stuff seems to still be exclusive, but the audio is going back out into RSS feeds. And I'm pretty sure that now Spotify has no more exclusives. So they lost. This is absolutely incredibly good news for the open standard that is podcasting. And we'll link to a piece by Anil Dash called Wherever You Get Your Podcasts is a Radical Statement. And it really is a radical statement. Wherever you get your podcasts. Where do you get your YouTube videos? Well, YouTube. Where do you get your Spotify music? Spotify or maybe Apple Music. But wherever you get your podcasts, you can write some shonky Python 2 script like Phalim. I know you've recently abandoned that. Or you can use AntennaPod, or you could use Spotify if you want, or you could use YouTube if you want. But the point is that it is this completely open standard using RSS. And Spotify tried to fuck with that, and they lost. And we won.
I think, sadly, it's a bit too early to declare victory. Most of the more popular podcasts that have got commercial interest behind them are still locked into a platform of some sort. I don't think that we can say that we've won, because you still need to log into that website, and generally it will give you a link which is hosted on their website. If they've got an RSS feed, it won't be the thing that you are encouraged to use. You will be encouraged to use signing up through their website. But that said, a lot of the podcasts that I listen to that do have adverts and do have a commercial backing like Plosive or someone behind them, I checked this morning, they do still have RSS feeds. It's definitely good news, and it's definitely not an absolute walkover like I worried it would be. But I'm still worried that a small number of large industry companies are still in control of the vast majority of the content.
That is true. And a lot of them are using these dynamic ad platforms and everything. But in order to maximize their potential listenership, they all still use RSS, apart from some fucking BBC ones that are like BBC Sounds exclusive for a certain period, which, I mean, okay, whatever. As long as they eventually get out into the RSS feeds, that's fine, I suppose. But it doesn't really matter if they are hosted on a proprietary platform, as long as they're delivered in a way that is open to everyone. That's what matters to me. What podcasts are you thinking of that require a sign-up?
It's difficult to tell because I'm still using the terrible Apple Podcasts app. The UX on this app is unbelievably bad. It's very difficult to use. The only good thing that it's got going is the fact that I can search and click add and then it's done. But a podcast that I was listening to this morning when I was walking the dog is the Northern News podcast with Ian Smith. And I had to go and Google it, and I think I found a link to Acast. And from there, I did find an RSS feed. But if you browse to that RSS feed in your web browser, it does some weird, sneaky redirection, which sends you back to their website. It detects that you're not, I don't know, curl or some like Python library or something, and redirects you to the website to try and make you listen to it there, which I thought was a bit sneaky.
Ian Smith and Amy Gledhill?
Yeah.
Well, just searching AntennaPod shows right up. That shows that it's got an RSS feed.
Ah, well, there you go.
Well, back when my shonky script was in full force and I hadn't broken it because I upgraded my server, it was a nightmare to find the RSS feeds because you knew that they existed, but finding was something else. Now, that's where I don't know where AntennaPod is getting all their stuff from. I don't know if there's people submitting stuff to it from Acast or the like, because I had a few podcasts that were on Acast, and it's a nightmare to find it because it's just a string of numbers, like for most of them that show up on it. It's awful.
Yeah, sure enough, this is on Acast, and it's feeds.acast.com/public/shows/random characters.
Yeah, it's awful. There's no need for it. Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's the weirdest things that are trying to be protected. Like,
yeah, but ultimately, in order to be on all the platforms, they need to have an RSS feed. You can't get on Apple Podcasts without an RSS feed, I don't think. And Spotify, unless you're using one of their platforms, you need an RSS feed. And so even if they're kind of hidden away and not front and center, there is almost always a way to get that RSS feed. But I do take the point that it's not as rosy as I perhaps made out. But locking shows behind a sign-up wall, making you use the Spotify app, was what they wanted to do, and they did not succeed. And I was very worried that they were going to succeed, and I'm very happy that they did not succeed.
Yeah, it's funny, even Six Nations Rugby at the weekend, they were talking about one of the rugby podcasts, and it says that exact sentence, wherever you get your podcasts, and it is nice to see.
Yeah, it's a great, empowering phrase.
I also feel slightly vindicated for never clicking on one of those damnable podcast adverts in Spotify. I hate the way they took over the platform.
Introducing Pseudo for Windows.
What the
Cool.
Is it April?
And so it's going to basically do the same thing as sudo in Linux.
Except, is it though? Apparently it's very shonkily written in the back end.
Can we tell Windows users to sudo rm-rf/?
I don't know, would that work? I don't know enough about Windows commands.
The slash would be the other way around. I think that's all.
Yeah, of course it would. Of course it would, because they're awkward bastards. I've heard people saying, oh, this is more evidence that they're moving towards Linux. They're going to be a Linux kernel before you know it. That's just nonsense.
Tis a bit, all right. The pop-up, was it the UAC pop-up? Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Apparently that's all this is.
Yeah.
There's a flag for it to do it in the background, and that's essentially what this does. I love it. I mean, I equally love the cruftiness of it, but equally think, fucking Microsoft, they couldn't even do that properly. But equally, I do appreciate it as well.
The original solution to how do you do something as an administrator in the command line was to right-click some menu in Windows and choose to open a terminal as administrator, and then you would have full privs on it. And the UI, if you ever tried to do something that required administrative privileges, you would get this UAC pop up in the middle of the screen that says, are you sure you want to do this, yes or no? So this is, I think, just a bit of a hack to stop people having to right-click and choose open as administrator and open the terminal there, and a little bit for muscle memory for all of the people who are using Linux all the time, then are forced to go onto a Windows box and go, how the hell do you use this thing? And to just try and ease it for them a little bit. So I think that this is an indication that Microsoft are more concerned about people having more Linux skills than they do have Windows skills.
Well, it's open source, so yay.
Nah, it's not open source, though. They're exploring how they're going to make it open source, I think.
All right, because on the GitHub it says MIT license.
Well, the blog post says they are still exploring it, but I guess they've explored it and found it.
Oh, of course they'd pick the MIT. They couldn't even pick an open source license properly.
It's probably only a shim anyway to something else.
Probably systemd.
It's all in the scripts directory.
Hold on. Have a look at the GitHub.
Oh, fuck, Here we go.
There's nothing in it.
Yeah.
There's an 87-line bash script or whatever they call it. That's it.
Oh, this gets better. This is the gift that keeps giving.
There's more fucking SVGs than there are scripts.
Well, it can't be that hard to just automatically click yes to that pop-up, can it?
Well, I think, yes, it can be, because I think it lives in some sort of special space. That said, you can definitely click it if you're using type VNC, so it's not that protected.
Fucking 8-character tabs. Oh, man. They can't even indent properly. I hate them so much. I'm all over the place here, sorry.
I'm really glad they open sourced it.
Yeah. I might fork it.
Call it K-Sudo this time.
Sudon't.
It pops up Clippy every time you do something. It seems like you're trying to run an administrative task. Would you like me to stop you doing that right now? Or just not do it?
Okay, this episode is sponsored by Tailscale. Go to tailscale.com/LNL. Tailscale is an easy-to-deploy, zero-config, no-fuss VPN that allows you to build simple networks across complex infrastructure. Sign up in a couple of minutes, install Tailscale on a couple of computers, servers, tablets, or phones, and a few clicks later, they're all connected, no matter where they are in the world. It took me about 5 minutes to set up Tailscale on my phone and a little Gigabyte Bricks NUC-type machine, and then I could SSH into the bricks from anywhere. And from there, I could SSH into other machines on my home network while I was out and about. all without opening any ports or manual config. So if you want the benefits of WireGuard without the hassle of configuring it manually, don't take my word for how easy it is to set up. Give Tailscale a go yourself. Support the show and go to tailscale.com/LNL and try Tailscale out for free for up to 100 devices and 3 users with no credit card required. That's tailscale.com/LNL. On to a bit of admin then. First of all, thank you everyone who supports us with PayPal and Patreon. We really do appreciate that. If you want to join those people, you can go to latenightlinux.com/support. And remember that for various amounts on Patreon, you can get an advert-free RSS feed of either just this show or all the shows in the Late Night Linux family. And if you want to send any feedback, you can email show@latenightlinux.com. Ubuntu Core Desktop no longer planned for April. So the plan was to have this immutable Ubuntu Core Desktop released alongside 2404 in April, but this has now been pushed back. I'm not hugely surprised because it is quite a challenge, but it's a little bit disappointing because I was looking forward to this.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure you're gutted, Phelim.
I am. It's terrible.
Graham, you work on the Snap team. Tell us why. Why is this not happening?
Right, I'm actually working on the documentation for the Ubuntu Core Desktop as well. There's a few of us trying to put it together. And all the usual caveats. I'm no official spokesperson. I've not been asked to keep any secrets. As far as I'm aware, there's no big problem that people have just discovered that's going to delay it indefinitely. I think it's just the engineering work.
Just not quite ready.
Yeah, I think it needs more work. You can still find the images in the same places you could before, although all of this has been done in the open. You can see the areas that things are developing, but it is difficult to bring all these things together. Like for this cycle, there's like Core 24, for example, which is a whole new base for Ubuntu Core, which you also need to bring into the desktop experience. And so those things, they're kind of landing at the same time at some future point. So a lot of what is still going on is kind of making sure all of that will fit together when the final releases of those important parts are made. And I think a delay like this, I don't know officially, will give people time to test those things once those final parts are all together.
Well, Joey, in his OMG Ubuntu article, suggests that maybe it'll happen in October, which is the 20th anniversary of Ubuntu.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It would be, wouldn't it? It'd be quite fitting.
20 years. Jesus.
I know. But unlike with the main editions of Ubuntu, there's not this sort of hard deadline. There never was this hard deadline. That was the aim, to get it out at around the same time as the LTS normal version of Ubuntu. But it feels a bit more sort of Fedora style. When it's ready, that's when they'll release it.
Don't forget the first LTS was delayed by about 2 months to be 606, not 604. So maybe it's the tradition of new things.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things happening with the 2404 release as well, like Core 24, and maybe it's nice to kind of kick this back a little bit so that it can get some attention outside of all of that.
Well, we'll see. It should be interesting when it's finally ready. And I think it's fair enough. If it's not ready, don't just stick it out there and have it be shit and have people say it's shit. Get it right. Spend the time on it. All right, it's time to talk about Mozilla again. Right, so first of all, introducing Mozilla Monitor Plus, a new tool to automatically remove your personal information from data broker sites. So much like the VPN, this is just a white-labeled, rebadged service. This is just OneRep, the company that they're working with for it. I mean, I suppose it's a reasonable service to offer. Sort of on brand for Mozilla, isn't it?
Well, what are they going to do, though? Like, so I was subscribed to I'm one of the 1 million people who signed up to the monitor thing, right? So I see that I'm in, I think it's 3 data leaks from my email address and 2 from my phone. What are they going to do? Go, hey, stop using that. And they're going to go, no. And then what? What's next?
Well, no, you can in America. This is US only, of course, but in America, you can go and like specifically request your information to be deleted from various sites. And it's a real palaver. You have to do it over and over again.
Yeah, but what if the person with the data is not in the US? I mean, what are they going to do? Just go, oh, okay. Yeah, sure. We don't have oil in this country, so you're not interested in us. So fuck off.
Well, I don't know. It seems to be a thriving industry of this kind of thing. There's various people who do it, various companies. I think one of them inquired about sponsorship at one point, possibly. But I don't know whether it works or not, but either way, it seems to be somewhat on brand. But we've buried the lead here because a new chapter for Mozilla, focused execution and an expanded role in charting the internet's future. And so Mitchell Baker, who was up until this the CEO, is now going to be the Mozilla Corporation Executive Chairwoman. And so Laura Chambers is taking over as the CEO. And what this means, I don't fucking know, man. It seems like just more corporate bullshit. And they do say that they are going to have outstanding execution, focus, process capabilities, doubling down on our core products like Firefox and building out our capabilities and innovation pipeline to bring new compelling products to market.
Cool.
This is like a fucking LinkedIn post, man. It really just reeks of all that bullshit to me. But I don't know, this Laura Chambers can't do a fucking worse job than Mitchell Baker, can she? I mean, if she does, she deserves a prize.
The fact that they've stated in this article that her two main goals are going to be vision and strategy for the future and outstanding execution suggests to me that, as far as Mitchell Baker was concerned, they weren't her key goals.
How about a goal of make a great fucking browser and get people to actually use the fucking thing? Is that too much to ask? It seems like it is.
When you see outstanding execution, focus, process, whatever, as main goals, you have to think, could you not come up with anything else? Is that literally the best you could come up with was what you would expect everybody would just genuinely do as, without having to mention it?
AKA the bare minimum.
Yeah, it's like, as a human, I'm going to breathe. Okay, cool. Good for you then. It's like, it's just unbelievable. It's like they have no idea what they're doing. Just none. And I sent a screenshot of everything that just summed this up at the very end into our chat, which was the link to pocket this fucking news.
Which is still not open source on the back end.
Yeah, it's all great.
I know it's the same old story and we're going over the same old ground, but I don't understand why Mozilla has this identity crisis and has to feel like it needs to use this kind of language or even create these kind of press releases. What world is it trying to be a part of as something that should just be focusing on the browser and the free web? I really don't understand it.
Well, let's be positive and say that things are going to be great from now on. This focused execution is going to be great and they're going to win back loads of market share and it's going to be 50-50 with Chrome.
No, hang a sec. They're going to win back market share with the thing that they don't want to admit is the thing that they do the best. That's the worst part about this. They want to win back things with the thing that they're trying to get as far away from as possible. It's what kind of makes it all so pathetic, I think.
I mean, I wasn't going to mention this, but in the press release for the Mozilla Monitor Plus, the second paragraph, if this is any indication of the new world, is just abysmal. This is what they say. There's a growing interest among 42% of young adults aged 18 to 24 who want to learn more about the types of information that companies have about them. I mean, what a fucking bizarre sentence. There's a growing interest among 42. It's meaningless crap.
No, it's data-driven product strategy, Graham.
It's AI-generated bollocks.
Oh, it could be, yeah. It really could be.
The entire board of Mozilla replaced by AI. Maybe I could get behind that. Maybe.
Well, like I said, they can't do a worse job than Mitchell's done.
Tap, 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 tap. What are two things a chief executive does?
Are we unnecessarily unfair on Mozilla?
No. We had fucking, over 50% of the market if we were to lump ourselves in as the Firefox group. And we have fuck all now. You can't plot a trajectory as shit as that.
I think we are a little bit unfair.
I don't think we're unfair enough.
I can see that Mozilla just doesn't have the answer. It doesn't know what to do. And we're not really helping by confusing the issue and being confrontational with it. We should help them understand what they should be doing in, practical, measurable ways. I mean, in that way, I don't think we are helping.
Just do Firefox. Just do that. The rest will fall into place.
Just spend your hundreds of millions a year making Firefox even better than it is already. Because that's the fucking annoying thing. It is a great browser. It's better than Chrome. So why does no one use it?
Maybe they could get a discount with their sponsorship from Google to put Firefox ads back into Chrome.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I think that it is a good time to be taking over the controls at Firefox, with Chrome starting to suppress all kind of ad blockers more and more. This is a real opportunity, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. So I really want to see Laura step in and take this advantage and use it.
Right. Well, she's definitely going to do that, and it's going to be great. And fuck anyone who disagrees. Xfce 4.20 aiming for usable Wayland support while maintaining X11 compatibility.
What decade were they talking about, Joe?
Oh, yeah. This is such good news that the Xfce people are starting to really think about Wayland now and are aiming to have proper Wayland support. And fuck you lot for laughing at it.
Just in the nick of time, when X11 is no longer supported. Oh, yeah. How many developers are still working on X11? None. That's how many.
Look, I was worried that Xfce was going to get left behind. Now it looks like it will.
When was it going to get left behind? I think it was left behind when you started using it.
All right, whatever. KDE 6 misses boat to make it into Kubuntu 24.04. This is interesting. So Kubuntu 24.04 is due out in a couple of months, the LTS, and it's not going to have Plasma 6 and KDE 6 in it, which means that either they'll have to backport it at some point down the line, or you're going to have to wait 2 years until 26.04 to get Plasma 6 in the LTS. The timing seems to be quite unfortunate here.
Yeah, it's really cruel, and I feel their pain. And it's kind of why I use Neon. I prefer the way KDE releases when they do, and I just have a stable underneath. But Kubuntu does have its place as well, and I just think this is really unfortunate for them. I don't know what you can do about it, but yeah.
Especially as quite a lot of the underlying Qt 5 stuff isn't really going to be supported, is it?
No, because I think even KDE is doing the support of a lot of the Qt stuff at the moment as well. I know there's a paid for Qt thing, and I think there's some sort of relationship there about backports and stuff, but I don't know. It's last legs. I wouldn't like to be on it.
So it'll be very interesting to see what the Kubuntu team do about this. You snuck in a few bits for an unofficial KDE corner. The first one, Frameworks 5.115.0.
Yeah, it's just the work continues. They're getting really ready for this. I mean, that's 83 add-on libraries for Qt and stuff. So, I mean, nothing you visually massively see there, but Nate's been keeping a good track of the 6 stuff that's coming up, all the work that's going into it. And one thing that I thought was quite cool was it's just past the 2-year anniversary of the 15-minute bug thing, which disturbs me that that's 2 years old at this point. But they talk about how they went from initially 92 and they're down to 32 now, but there was 231 that actually got closed in that meantime and stuff. And it's nice to see the small efforts where, trying to cut things down to manageable sizes have actually made that many things go through. I mean, there's obviously still lots of bugs and lots of Wayland stuff that's coming through, but it's nice. All the paper cuts getting finished up, and that's great.
Yeah, no doubt we'll cover KDE 6 once it's all out in a few weeks.
Yeah, about 2 and a bit. Scary.
Right, well, we'd better get out of here then. We'll be back next week with some discoveries and maybe a bit of feedback. But until then, I've been Joe.
I've been Phelan.
I've been Mitchell.
And I've been Will.
See you later.